So, a bit of an election update here. This is coming from my own state, Florida. We had a progressive victory in the Democratic Party primary. I think it's very significant. I think it's very significant because this is probably one of the biggest progressive victories in one of the biggest offices of 2018. Maybe in a while. I mean, obviously, Senates are a big deal. This is a governor. And purely speaking, 2018, I think this might be the biggest progressive victory over the establishment in 2018. So, Andrew Gillum won. He is mayor of Tallahassee. He's going to be facing Ron DeSantis in November. Ron DeSantis is a Trump-endorsed Trump wannabe. Very Trumpian, you could say. Andrew, he's endorsed by Bernie Sanders, Our Revolution, other progressive groups. He supports things like Medicare for All, and he's pretty good on the issues. He was not supposed to win. And when I say supposed to win, I'm talking about the establishment didn't, number one, want him to win, and number two, no one, not even me, really expected him to win, to be honest with you. There's a lot of losing in politics, and I personally like to stay humble and not be too overconfident, and I looked at the polls, and I didn't know if he was going to win. Let me show you the polls. These are the polls. The top is the most recent ones. The bottom is the farthest away. You can see the dates there, starting at June. I've been following these polls for a while, and there was only one poll that had Andrew Gillum winning. One poll only. That's crazy. Every other poll had Gwen Graham, the daughter of former Governor Bob Graham. She was winning. And if you look at the polls, she's winning nearly consistently. Earlier in the race, you can kind of see it around here at the end. You had Philip Levine winning at times. Philip Levine, I believe, got his campaign destroyed by Jeff Green because Jeff Green decided to enter the race. And I think they're very similar personality-wise. They're both from South Florida. They're both businessmen that want to be tough guys. So I think they kind of had the same market. So I think that overall hurt each one of their campaigns. So that I think prevented. So you can see when Jeff Green joined the race. He joined in the summer. You can see his numbers kind of splitting the Philip Levine vote when he the more he got attention. But still, Gwen Graham was like a tank. I didn't expect it's hard to beat that. And she's an establishment choice. She's an establishment Democrat. She has all the money, just like in any other of these races. But if you notice, later on in August, let's look. So the first August poll, July 29th, August 2nd. That was the beginning of the month. Andrew was at 10%. Moved to 13, went down to 11, up to 15, stayed at 15. Excuse me. Yeah. But back to 15, then a jump to 21. You know what happened? Bernie Sanders happened. Bernie Sanders came down to the state. He already had Bernie Sanders' endorsement, which actually kind of already made a jump. That 13, 11, 15, that was a sort of small jump. But then suddenly 21. Because Bernie Sanders came down to the state and campaigned. He only, as far as I know, he only did 2 rallies. But that endorsement is so powerful, you know? The Bernie Sanders endorsement. So influential because it gets young people and people that wouldn't normally come out to vote. I heard there was record turnout for young people and people of color in this primary. So in fact, now this apparently, according to them, has a little connection to Gillum. Had him winning. He was winning. By a pretty big margin. Now the race was pretty close, but he did win. Much bigger than everybody else. There was quite a distance between him and his second place opponent, but it was not that 10% difference. But you know, polls aren't always right. But clearly, he got the right idea. He was winning, and then suddenly goes down to 11%. Notice there's only like 280 people, so it's not a very representative poll. Then the 18, then the 15, then the 16, and in the final poll of the race, got to 25%. Gwen at 32%, Jeff at 11%, Chris King at 2%, Philip Levine at 22%. So that was the first time he was in that second place position. Now I took that as a sign of hope. That was a big poll too. Look at the margin size, or not the margin size, the sample size, 2,342, and he was much higher than these other positions. I wasn't sure he was gonna win, but that made me a lot more optimistic. But let's look at the results. Andrew Gillum had 517, or 507, let me see that. Yeah, 517, 417, 34.3%. Meanwhile, Gwen Graham was at 472,735, 31%. And on the right, you can see the map of who was winning where. Andrew was winning in very populated areas. He was winning in Miami, which surprised me. Just so you know, green, it doesn't show it because the picture, I didn't get a big enough picture. But green is Philip Levine. So Philip Levine won a little bit in the southwest, but Andrew won like the very, very common Democratic areas of the state of Florida in the east, southeast, including up to Palm Beach, Broward County, and then he won very largely in the north in certain areas, which kind of surprised me. Gwen Graham, when I first looked at the race, it was late 7 o'clock sometime. Gwen Graham was winning, and I was kind of scared. I messaged my friend. I was like, it's not looking good. But then suddenly Andrew keeps moving up. Suddenly he's a close second place. Suddenly he's first place, and his margin got bigger and bigger and bigger. It was such an amazing night to watch, to be honest with you. But yeah, Andrew Gillum, he's going to be facing Ron DeSantis this November. Andrew Gillum is running a progressive campaign, a bold campaign, and to be honest with you, I think he's going to win. I think he's going to win. Of course, I'm rooting for him, but I think he's going to win. And I don't really have much doubt. We've had 2 decades, I believe, of Republican rule in Tallahassee and the state of Florida. I think there's fatigue from that. And I think to point out on DeSantis, he really wants to be Donald Trump. He had an ad where he was pretty much teaching his daughter about Donald Trump. I think it was really desperate. The Republican debate, I watched it. It was so sad, man. It was so sad because they were kissing up to Trump the whole time. I didn't watch the full debate, but I watched enough of it to keep hearing constant kissing up to Trump. Even Adam Putnam, who wasn't even endorsed by Trump, DeSantis had the Trump endorsement, and they were both still kissing up to Trump. It was such a sad sight. So if that's the current state of the Florida Republican Party, I don't have much doubt. I think Andrew Gillum is going to win. Of course, stay humble. It won't be an easy victory. It might be a close race. I don't think it's going to be a close race, but it might be a close race. It'll be a race where work has to be done. So if you're living in the state of Florida, make sure to help Andrew in this campaign in whatever way possible. Whether it's knocking on doors in your local neighborhood and being like, hey, have you heard about this guy? Are you going to go vote in November? Make sure to vote for Andrew Gillum. Or whether it's donating $2, $5, $27, however amount of money you want. Well, obviously, if not thousands, but You know what I mean? Donate something. Go knock on doors. You can help this campaign if you live in Florida. If you don't live in Florida, maybe you can do something like phone bank. But if Andrew's gonna win this campaign, we're gonna have to work towards it as progressives, and I think we're on the right path by choosing Andrew. I think Andrew's gonna win. He's gonna shock the world not once. He shocked us already with this election. He's gonna shock us twice by winning in November.